Hi everybody, welcome to your newest review video from Miss LeMann's YouTube channel. This is a video to go over all of the topics that will be covered on the 2.1 to 2.4 formative for my regular pre-algebra classes, which are periods 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just kidding. Well, kind of and not, whatever. Okay, let's keep it moving here. The topics that we're going to talk about today are vocabulary. This will be the first part of your quiz. One-step equations, two-step equations, equations of variables on both sides, multi-step equations, number of solutions, and word problems. There's quite a lot, so buckle up everybody, but I promise you this will really help to get you ready for your quiz. So even if you need to skip around to the part that you need the most help on, you do you. Okay, let's get it moving here. All right, so the first part of your formative is going to be vocabulary. When I'm looking at vocabulary, I always like to start with the easiest one. So if we have y, I know that that is going to be my variable. So any letter in math is a variable. It represents something that we do not know. The number stuck to the variable or right in front of it is called your coefficient. I know that we've talked in my class about it being kind of like the coworker to the variable. They work together. The coefficient is the number stuck to the variable. So if I had like 6a, 6 is your coefficient. 7b, 7 is your coefficient. 6, 7. There we go. I'm sorry, don't kill me. Okay, your next part here is when we're looking at constants. A constant is just a number that does not change. So 5 is a constant and 10 is a constant. The one that kids struggle with the most is called your term. A term is any single piece of an expression or your equation. So 3y is a term, 5 is a term, and 10 is a term. The whole mathematical sentence, because it has an equal sign, is called an equation. All right, there's your vocabulary that you need to know. When we are solving one-step equations, remember that your goal is to get the variable by itself, and we use inverse operations to do so. So if I want to get x by itself, I need to get rid of this minus 5. What is the inverse of minus 5? Plus 5. It is adding 5 or plus 5. And we do it on both sides. These cancel. I know that 10 plus 5 is 15. And that is your answer. When you're looking at this one-step equation, there's an invisible operation holding that 6 and the y together. It is multiplication. So to undo multiplying by 6, we have to divide both sides by 6. And 36 divided by 6 is 6. Okay, moving up to the next level, two-step equations. When you're working with two-step equations, the first thing you want to do is undo addition or subtraction. And then you want to undo multiplication or division. A good strategy, you could have like a piece of paper out next to you and you can pause this video, solve the equation, and see if you get the same answer as me. So looking at this equation, I see that I have minus 2, so I'm going to do the inverse. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And then when I move left to right, I've got 6y equals 12. Divide by 6, and I get that y is equal to 2. Over here, this one just looks a little bit weird because of the formatting. Remember that Miss LeMann is UNC status here and she sucks at technology, so we have to give her some grace. This is just a fraction, okay? It just needs to be set up vertically. I see that I have a minus 5, so to undo that, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And then if I'm moving left to right, 3 plus 5 is 8 over x equals x over 2. When you get to this point, sometimes kids are like, oh gosh, I have a fraction, what do I do? This is really just dividing by 2, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And then I know 2 times 8 is 16 equals x. Yay! Next level! Variables on both sides. Okay, you have heard me ask this question 1,000,000 times. When you have an equation with variables on both sides, which term is smaller? Is it your 5x or is it your 8x? Please tell me it's 5x. That is the one that you want to move first. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides because it's positive. And then if I move from left to right, 5x minus 5x cancels out. Bring down my 2. 8x minus 5x is 3x, and then I still have minus 7. Once you get to this point, you're like, okay, now what? And if you're in my class, you know that we're like, okay, we're back to safety. We're back to a two-step equation. I see a minus 7. Let's undo that. Ooh, I picked yellow, my favorite color. Giving me 9 equals 3x, and then I divide both sides by 3, and you get x equals 3. All right. Looking at these two here, this one's a little bit more challenging. If I have 3a and 7a, which one is smaller? 3a. So since it's positive, I'm going to subtract it on both sides. And then let's move left to right. These cancel out. You need to be super careful here. Kids are going to forget that there is the negative in front of that 6. Please don't forget that. So bring down negative 6 equals 7a minus 3a is 4a plus 2. Now, I see that I have a plus 2 that I need to get rid of, so we're going to subtract it on both sides. Please be careful. If I'm at negative 6 and I take away 2 more, think of a number line. I'm at negative 6 and I take away 2 more. I end up at negative 8 equals 4a. And I divide both sides by 4, and I get a equals negative 2. Next level, here we go. Wow, we've done one step, two step, equations with variables on both sides, and now it's time for multi-step. Oh, yeah, baby. Okay. If you are still following along at this point in the video, on your quiz, if you put a star with a 17 in the middle, you will get an extra, a really cool dry erase marker. Not a really cool pencil, not a really cool pen, a really cool dry erase marker. Okay, do not tell your friends. Nope, it's your job. You were the one that studied and watched the video. Okay, here we go. So the first thing you want to do is use distributive property. 5 times a is 5a minus 5 times 3 is 15 equals 4 times a is 4a plus 4 times 7 is 28. Now I see that I have variables on both sides. I have 5a and I have 4a. Which one is smaller? 4a. Okay, so I'm going to subtract that on both sides. And let's move left to right. 5a minus 4a is just 1a, or just a. Bring down your minus 15 equals 28. Now, I see that I have subtraction, so I need to undo that. So what is the opposite of minus 15? Plus 15. And, I can read 13. A is 43. Wow, you can barely see that. So when you see a multi-step equation, you just need to simplify the first part, and then you usually will end up with like variables on both sides or something that you're used to seeing. But start with simplifying where you can. Okay, this is our newest skill. So this is looking at an equation and identifying how many solutions that it has. If your equation looks like this, where you've got two different variable terms, completely different, it's going to be one solution. Like you could go through that and you could solve. If you are looking and you have the exact same thing on both sides, it's going to be infinitely many. The most challenging one for kids to identify is an equation with no solutions. When you're looking at it, you notice that the variables are the same, but the constants are different. And if you got to your quiz and you're like, oh God, like I don't remember this, what do I do? Let's say that you practice solving this. If I just subtracted my variable term from both sides, these cancel. Does 5 equal negative 10? No, it doesn't. So that would be none. So again, when you're looking at an equation, if it has the same variable but different constants, it is no solutions. So let's practice looking at that. If I'm looking at these, I see that I'm going to have to use distributive property here. So I've got 10a plus 6 equals 10a minus 12. Uh-oh, same variable, but different constants. That is no solutions. Wow, I like the red and yellow. It's like ketchup and mustard. The heck? Okay, on your second one, I can't do anything to simplify over here, but when I add these together, because they're like terms, what do you notice? 10x minus 3, 10x minus 3. They're the exact same, so it is infinitely many solutions. I'm thinking back to the game that we played today when you guys were all shouting at me for the screen when you had to click the card, when it was like moving around and stuff, for the number of solutions. Okay, just random missile man things. Last one is solving application problems with word problems, okay? It says Richie and Mr. Garza go to Lifetime in preparation for their basketball showdown when Richie will get his ankles broken in the GMS gym. They spend the same amount of money. My friends, when it says that they spent the same amount of money, you need to set up an equation with each person having their own side. So this will be Richie's side. This will be Mr. Garza's side. Okay. It says that Richie spends $6 on Gatorade and buys 3 protein bars. Mr. Garza spends $4 on a smoothie and buys 5 protein bars. We don't know how much a protein bar costs.
If you're in the building, please come to the front office. Anthony Lopez, if you're in the building, please come to the front office. Thank you.
Whoopsies. Okay, so let's start with Richie's side. So it says that he buys, let's see here, 3 protein bars. We can do 3P, plus he spends $6 on Gatorade. Mr. Garza buys 5 protein bars, and he spends $4 on a smoothie. Now it's just variables on both sides, you guys, and you just kind of keep it moving here. So we'll subtract 3P from both sides. Wow, we're really just doing all the colors. And then minus 4. So I get 2 equals 2p, divide both sides by 2, p equals 1. However, you're not going to make Miss Levan cry and leave it just like that. We are going to put our answer back in context. So our solution, I know that my answer is 1, but look back at what the question's asking you. It says, how much does each protein bar cost? Okay, that's $1 per protein bar. And that is a good deal, my friends. I will tell you that. As someone who loves eating protein bars, that is a good deal. Okay. All right, everybody. So here's what will be on your quiz for Tuesday. Tuesday. Vocabulary, 1-step equations, 2-step equations, equations with variables on both sides, multi-step equations, number of solutions, and word problems. But you're going to be amazing. Thank you for studying. And if you have any questions, please message me on Schoology. All right, bye everybody. Thank you.